Ferrari is reportedly beginning to see a glimmer of hope in its fight to catch up with its rivals during the 2026 Formula One season. Behind the gradual improvement in performance seen over the past few races, there appears to be one technical change that has largely gone unnoticed. It is not just about car or engine development, but also Shell's latest synthetic fuel update, which has been in use since the Austrian Grand Prix. So just how much of an impact has Shell's new fuel had on the performance of the SF26? Let's discuss. Ferrari actually entered a new phase of development heading into the Austrian Grand Prix. The Maranello-based team introduced several technical upgrades during that race weekend. However, most of the public attention focused on the minor updates to the car itself, while Shell's fuel upgrade received very little attention. According to several technical reports, however, the new fuel was a key part of Ferrari's development package, designed to meet the vastly different Formula One engine regulations introduced for the 2026 season. Unfortunately, its debut did not immediately deliver the results Ferrari had hoped for. Instead, Ferrari endured one of its most difficult race weekends of the season at the Red Bull Ring. Lewis Hamilton even described the weekend as a reality check, saying it revealed Ferrari's true position after the team had looked highly competitive in Barcelona. In Austria, Ferrari adopted an overly aggressive strategic approach from the very beginning. The team spent too much time reacting to Mercedes' strategy, even though it simply did not have the pace to challenge the Brackley-based squad. Ferrari's realistic targets should have been McLaren and Red Bull. However, poor strategic decisions prevented the team from maximising its result. In addition to the strategic mistakes, the conditions at the Austrian circuit proved to be a nightmare for Ferrari. Extremely high track temperatures caused severe rear tyre degradation. The Red Bull Ring is well known for being particularly demanding on rear tyres due to its many short corners followed by full throttle acceleration zones. Most teams opted for a two-stop strategy as the fastest race plan. Ferrari, however, suffered significantly worse tyre degradation, forcing the team into a slower three-stop strategy. Charles Leclerc described the race as one of the toughest of the entire season. He complained about the lack of rear-end grip, saying the SF26 struggled to maintain consistent pace over long stints. The race also exposed Ferrari's biggest weakness. Many had assumed that Ferrari's primary disadvantage was simply engine performance. Austria proved otherwise. The team's biggest issue was the car's stability once the rear tyres began to suffer heavy degradation. That problem was made even worse by the engine's cooling requirements. Because of the extremely hot weather, Ferrari ran much larger cooling openings on the engine cover than both Mercedes and Red Bull. While this helped keep the power unit within safe operating temperatures, it came with a significant trade-off. The larger the cooling outlets, the lower the car's aerodynamic efficiency. That loss of efficiency reduced downforce, forcing the rear tyres to work even harder and wear out more quickly. As a result, Ferrari lost both stability and speed, not only on the straights, but also when accelerating out of corners. However, despite the disappointing weekend, Ferrari was actually gathering extremely valuable data for the future of its development program. The 2026 season has introduced sweeping changes to Formula One regulations. Whereas engine performance was previously governed primarily by fuel mass limits, the FIA has now introduced a new regulation based on a maximum energy flow limit of approximately 3,000 megajoules per hour. This rule requires every engine manufacturer to extract the maximum possible energy from every drop of synthetic fuel. This means that fuel quality has now become a far more decisive factor than ever before. That is where Shell's role becomes critically important. Ferrari and Shell explored several different approaches when developing their new fuel. The first approach was to create a fuel with an extremely high energy density. In theory, this solution would allow the car to carry less fuel, reducing overall weight. However, it also came with a trade-off. Because the fuel produces significantly more energy, Ferrari would have to reduce the fuel flow rate to remain within the FIA's maximum energy limit. The second option was to use a fuel blend with a slightly lower energy density. While this strategy requires the car to carry a larger amount of fuel, it offers the advantage of a more stable and efficient combustion process inside the engine's combustion chamber. According to various technical reports, Shell ultimately chose an approach that strikes the right balance between combustion efficiency, energy density, the sustainability of synthetic fuel, and the characteristics of Ferrari's latest internal combustion engine. In other words, Shell's new fuel is not simply designed to produce more power. Its primary goal is to improve the overall efficiency of the power unit, allowing the engine to extract the maximum possible energy from every unit of fuel while complying with the new Formula 1 2026 regulations. Ferrari itself has never described this update as a major revolution. Both the internal combustion engine upgrade and Shell's new fuel were designed from the very beginning as the foundation for a much larger development package planned for the second half of the season. That is why Ferrari's performance did not improve dramatically immediately after the Austrian Grand Prix. However, over the following races, the SF26 has begun to show clear signs of progress, particularly on circuits where engine efficiency plays a greater role. Austria ultimately became Ferrari's most valuable testing ground. It was there that the team clearly identified the car's biggest weaknesses while collecting crucial data to refine the next stage of development. One particularly striking fact was that Ferrari was losing as much as 20 km per hour to both Mercedes and Red Bull on several straight-line sections of the Red Bull ring. That speed deficit appeared repeatedly throughout the race. In addition, Austria's layout, with very few heavy braking zones, made it difficult for Ferrari to recover electrical energy efficiently, exposing the shortcomings of its power unit even more clearly. Even so, the team did not view that weekend as a failure. Instead, Ferrari considered Austria the starting point for gaining a complete understanding of its new engine, energy management system, and the integration of Shell's latest fuel. All of that data has now become the foundation for the next development package, which is expected to debut over the coming rounds and reach a more mature stage by the time of the British Grand Prix. If everything progresses according to plan, Ferrari believes it can achieve a much more significant performance gain than it did when the package was first introduced in Austria. That is precisely why optimism surrounding Ferrari has started to return. The close collaboration between Ferrari and Shell is beginning to show promising results. Under Formula One's new regulations, success is no longer determined solely by aerodynamics or outright engine power, but also by a team's ability to maximize energy efficiency through next-generation synthetic fuels. Ferrari still has a significant amount of work to do if they want to catch up with their rivals. However, if both their engine and fuel development continue to progress at the current pace, it is entirely possible that the Maranello-based team could emerge as one of the leading contenders during the second half of the 2026 Formula 1 season. The big question now is this: will Shell's latest fuel innovation truly become the secret weapon that puts Ferrari back on the path to victory? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below,